Hamza Igaman lit up Ibrox like few others have done in recent years. With his electric pace, sharp finishing, and undeniable presence up front, the Moroccan forward didn't just introduce himself to Rangers fans, he announced himself to the entire Scottish Premiership. Now, with the transfer window heating up and Europe's top clubs circling the spotlight on Igaman has never been brighter. And for Rangers, the next few weeks could define more than just the future of one player. They could define the trajectory of the entire season. Let's not sugarcoat it. Igaman was a revelation. 16 goals and 3 assists in his first full campaign in Glasgow. That's not just solid output, that's star quality. And it didn't take long for that kind of form to grab attention. Premier League sides like Everton, Brentford, and West Ham were sniffing around earlier in the summer, with scouts reportedly attending matches and inquiries being made. But interest from England has cooled a bit. The new frontrunners, Lille, the French side known for spotting and nurturing emerging talent, are said to be keen on bringing Igaman to Ligue 1. But they haven't come close to matching Rangers' valuation, which stands firm between 15 and 20 million pounds. And here's where it gets really interesting. Champions League qualification could be the tipping point. If Rangers secure a spot in the group stages, it's not just about the financial windfall, which is significant on its own. It's about prestige. It's about ambition. It's about convincing players like Igaman that they don't need to leave Glasgow to play on Europe's biggest stage. The recent win over Panathinaikos, a confident 3-1 on aggregate, was a step in the right direction. But there's still work to be done. And the outcome of that European journey could directly impact whether Rangers are able to hold on to their most valuable asset. Behind the scenes, the club's message is clear: they will not be bullied. Sources close to the board suggest that unless a club meets their full valuation, Igaman isn't going anywhere. It's a strong stance and a necessary one. Because while the player's talent is undeniable, Rangers also know the market. They've watched other clubs cash in big on young strikers. They know that if they played as smart, they could either keep a top-class player for another season or fund multiple reinforcements with a single sale. But the story of Rangers right now isn't just about transfers, it's about identity. It's about culture, and it's about the same frustrations that have haunted this club season after season. A new boardroom, a new head coach, a fresh vision on paper. Yet on the pitch, some old problems just won't go away. The recent draw with Motherwell was a perfect example. A lack of killer instinct, sloppy lapses in concentration, and once again dropped points in a match they should have put to bed long before the final whistle. Fans were right to be frustrated. They've seen this movie before. They've lived it, and they've heard all the excuses. Post-match interviews often feel like deja vu. But this time, there was something different. Russell Martin didn't try to sugarcoat it. He went on the front foot. He called out the squad, questioned their mentality, took aim at egos, and made it crystal clear. This wasn't about tactics. This was about character. That kind of honesty is rare and frankly refreshing. But it also sends a clear message to the dressing room. The days of hiding behind excuses are over. If you don't have the mindset, the hunger, the fire to compete at Rangers, then your time is up. Martin has been in the job for just over a month. But he's already made it clear that big changes are coming, and they have to. Because if the same old players with the same old scars continue to drag down the new faces, this club will never escape the cycle of underachievement. One of the players at the center of this storm is Kieran Dale. After a frustrating start to life at Ibrox and a loan spell at Birmingham City, he's back and trying to prove that he belongs in Martin's plans. He started the third competitive game of the season on the right flank, building on his recent outings against Panathinaikos. And to his credit, he's saying the right things. Talking about hard work, about taking his chance, about adapting to the new demands of the manager. But the truth is, words only go so far. Dale admitted that maybe some home truths were needed, that maybe some players had become too comfortable, too used to mediocrity. And it's hard to disagree, because when you look at this Rangers squad, the talent is there. But the mentality has been questioned time and time again. That's why Martin's job isn't just about signing players. It's about finding the right ones. The ones who can handle the pressure, the expectations, the demands of playing for a club where every drop point feels like a disaster. Scouting for technical ability is easy. Anyone can see who's quick, who's strong, who's skillful. But finding out what a player is made of, that's the hard part. And at Rangers, it's arguably the most important part. Because this isn't just any club. This is a club where winning is the minimum requirement. where fans demand passion, resilience, commitment. And right now, too many in this squad aren't meeting that standard. But amidst all the criticism, there's still hope. There's still potential. And there's still talent. Players like Mikey Moore, recently brought in from Tottenham, and the potential arrival of Oliver Antman are signs that Martin and the recruitment team are looking to inject new energy into the side. These are moves that speak to a longer-term vision, one where pace, creativity, and youthful hunger can transform the team's attacking profile. And let's not forget the ambition shown behind the scenes. The club's owners, 49ers Enterprises, have backed Martin with a respectable budget. The attempted £20 million loan toe-buy approach for Crystal Palace winger Jasurin Raksaki shows that this isn't a regime afraid to aim high. But it also underlines the importance of smart business, because if big signings are to come, then big sales may be necessary. And that brings us right back to Hamza Igaman. His situation sums up the delicate balance Rangers are trying to strike. Keep your best players and you give yourself the best shot at success. Sell at the right time and you can reinvest smartly, maybe even reshape the squad entirely. But misjudge it and you risk stagnation or worse, regression. And in a league where the margins are razor thin and the pressure is unrelenting, that's a risk they can't afford to take. As of now, Rangers are holding their nerve. They've set the price, they're standing firm, and they're putting their faith in the Champions League qualification to shift the odds in their favor. Because if they can offer Igaman European football, regular starts, and a platform to shine on the biggest stage, that could be enough to convince him to stay, at least for one more season. But if not, if the right offer comes in and the player feels the time is right, then the club will need to act decisively. What's certain is that as long as Hamza Igaman remains in Glasgow, the speculation won't go away. His name will continue to dominate the headlines. His future will remain a hot topic. And every goal, every performance, every whisper from the transfer market will be dissected in real time. That's the price of being a breakout star in a club that's trying to rise again. And while the fans dream of a stable team, a winning team, and nights under the lights in the Champions League, the people in charge know that sentiment can't cloud judgment. This is a critical moment. Not just for Igaman, but for Rangers as a whole. The tension around Ibrox isn't just about one striker's future. It's about a club at a crossroads trying to build a team strong enough to challenge for titles, while navigating the financial and emotional tightrope that defines modern football. For Rangers, this isn't simply another summer of speculation. This is a test of identity, a test of ambition. And for Russell Martin, it's a baptism by fire. Martin knew the scale of the challenge when he walked through the doors. He inherited a squad weighed down by missed opportunities and psychological baggage. Too many players, too many seasons, too many apologies after lackluster performances. The kind of cycle that grinds down dressing rooms and wears out supporters. And his decision to speak openly about mentality, egos, and accountability from day one wasn't just bold, it was necessary. Because Rangers haven't just lost matches in recent years. They've lost belief. And that more than tactics or transfers is what Martin is trying to rebuild. He doesn't have time on his side. Rangers don't do patience. The expectation is immediate win. Now challenge Celtic, qualify for Europe. Bring silverware back to Ibrox. That's the job. And there's no grace period when the fan base is already fatigued by years of underachievement. So Martin's plan has to be clear and decisive. It's about trimming the fat cutting ties with those who failed to step up and creating a new spine for this team, both literally and figuratively. That's where recruitment becomes more than just filling gaps. It's about personality. It's about bringing in players who can handle the pressure, who understand what this club represents. Who won't hide when the atmosphere gets heavy or when the league table starts tightening? That's why even though Mikey Moore is just 20 years old, his arrival carries weight. Coming from a system like Spurs with top-level development and expectations, he represents a new type of profile. Hungry, technical, fearless. It's the kind of injection Rangers need on the flanks, especially if the system Martin wants relies on width and high pressing. The same goes for Oliver Antman, who's on the radar and reportedly close to making the switch. He's not a blockbuster name, but that's not the point. It's about balance, about bringing in players who can challenge the status quo without carrying the scars of past failures. Players who play forward, think forward, and refuse to settle for mediocrity. Because, make no mistake, mediocrity is what Rangers have flirted with for too long. That Motherwell match, the one that sparked all this introspection, was a warning shot. Not just because of the result, a disappointing draw at home, but because of how it happened. A bright start control of the ball, then a lack of killer instinct. The kind of slow fade that fans have come to recognize all too well. It's like watching the same film on repeat. And when Martin came out post-match and didn't hide behind excuses, it was the first time in a while that someone addressed the problem head-on. No talk of bad luck, no soft analysis, just a raw assessment of players not doing enough. And it resonated, maybe not with everyone in the squad, but definitely with the supporters. Because that's what they've been crying out for. Honesty, not false promises, not buzzwords, but real hard truths. And that's what Martin is delivering. Now comes the harder part, turning words into action. That action might include letting go of players who have been around for a few seasons but never quite hit the heights expected. It's a painful process, especially when you're dealing with personalities and careers. But that's the job. And with a limited budget, despite the backing of 49ers enterprises, every decision has consequences. One wrong move, one big wage wasted, and you're back to square one. Which is why the potential sale of someone like Igaman becomes even more significant. If the club can bring in upwards of £20 million, it's not just about balance. Sheets, it's about freedom, flexibility, the ability to act swiftly in the market when opportunities arise. The real danger, though, is timing. Leave it too late and you risk being caught short. Sell too early and you risk missing out on a Champions League windfall that could change everything. It's a delicate balancing act, and the people in charge, from Martin to the recruitment team, will need to get it exactly right, because there won't be many second chances this season. Supporters are watching closely more than ever. Every rumor, every interview, every lineup choice is dissected across social media and pubs across Glasgow. The trust in leadership is fragile. It's not just about beating Celtic anymore. It's about restoring pride, belief, and a sense that the club is moving forward with purpose. That the Rangers badge means something again beyond just the weight of history. For players like Kieran Dale, this is probably the last opportunity. He knows it. He said it himself. The first 18 months were a nightmare. Injuries, inconsistent form, and not enough game time. But Martin has given him a platform, at least for now. And he's trying to make the most of it. His recent performances show glimpses of quality, but the jury's still out. He needs to do more than just look tidy on the ball. He needs to change. Games, influence results. That's what gets you a shirt at Rangers. Dial spoke about the trust of the manager and the importance of starting fresh. But he also acknowledged the criticism, the kind that Martin dished out, was probably overdue. That maybe, just maybe, a few home truths were exactly what the squad needed. Because being a Rangers player isn't just about ability. It's about responsibility. You wear that shirt, you represent a fan base that demands excellence. And if you don't live up to that, someone else will take your place. Meanwhile, in the background, the Champions League chase rumbles on. And the closer Rangers get to the group stages, the more power they'll have in the transfer market. Not just financially, but psychologically. Players want to play at the highest level. They want to test themselves against Europe's elite. And if Rangers can offer that platform, they instantly become a more attractive destination. Not just for new signings, but for convincing current stars to stay one more season. That's the hope with Igaman, that the promise of Champions League football, plus a central role in Martin's project, might be enough to hold off the vultures circling above. But football is ruthless. Agents talk, clubs negotiate behind the scenes, and things can change in an instant. One bid, one phone call, and a player's future can shift overnight. That's why this window feels so vital. Because it's not just about preparing for the season. It's about defining the kind of club Rangers want to be moving forward. Are they a selling club, a stepping stone, or are they rebuilding something stronger, something sustainable, something that can challenge consistently, not just domestically, but in Europe too? That's the question the fans are asking. And that's the challenge Martin and the board have to answer, not with words, but with decisions. So far, the signs are mixed. There's ambition, no doubt. The push for Raksaki showed intent. But execution is everything. Ambition without delivery is just noise. And Rangers can't afford more noise. They need clarity, direction, and momentum. And they need it now. Because the league won't wait. Celtic won't wait. Europe won't wait. And neither will the supporters. This is the moment where everything gets real. No more preseason experiments. No more philosophical debates. It's time for results, for statement performances, for players to step up or step aside. Hamza Igaman might be the headline, but the real story is bigger than one man. It's about a club trying to rediscover itself, on the pitch, in the boardroom, and in the hearts of its fans. The road ahead is uncertain, but what's clear is that the days of excuses are over. The time for action is now. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. There are growing whispers around Ibrox that James Tavernier, longtime captain of Rangers, may be losing not only form but also the support of key figures within the club. The right back, who has been both lauded and criticized during his tenure, now finds himself under intense scrutiny following a damning assessment by a former Rangers player who went as far as to label him a defensive disgrace. While Tavernier's attacking contributions have never been in question, with his goals and assists tally often ranking among the top for defenders in Europe, his defensive reliability has once again come into the spotlight. The timing of this public criticism has raised eyebrows, as it coincides with rumors of unrest behind the scenes, with certain voices inside the club said to be quietly questioning his automatic inclusion in the starting 11. Though nothing official has emerged, the silence from the club's hierarchy in the face of such stinging words speaks volumes, suggesting that the leadership may not be as solidly behind Tavernier as they once were. It's a far cry from his glory days, and whether this is the beginning of the end or merely a blip in a storied Rangers career remains the subject of heated debate in Govan. What makes this situation even more intriguing is the change in tone. Among supporters, many of whom once held Tavernier in near unquestioned esteem, on social media, forums, and even among former players now turned pundits, there's a noticeable shift. Previously defended for his marauding runs and attacking prowess, Tavernier is now being scrutinized more harshly for what many describe as consistent lapses at the back. The ex-Rangers player's comments, while blunt, appear to have tapped into a growing frustration within the fan base. A sense that while Tavernier may dazzle going forward, he simply can't be relied upon when it matters most at the other end. In a league where defensive solidity is often the deciding factor between titles and second place, this vulnerability is proving costly. Rumors suggest that even within the dressing room, a divide may be forming, with younger defenders reportedly frustrated by what they perceive as a lack of accountability. It's this internal shift, whispered in the corridors and leaked subtly through training ground gossip, that's truly alarming. If the captain no longer commands universal respect, it could spell trouble not just for Tavernier, but for the cohesion of the squad as a whole. The manager, though outwardly composed, is said to be privately grappling with a difficult decision. Dropping a captain, particularly one as influential as Tavernier, is no small move and carries immense weight both within the dressing room and in the eyes of supporters. Yet with criticism mounting and defensive errors proving costly in key matches, some insiders claim that conversations are already underway about potentially shifting the armband elsewhere. The idea, once unthinkable, is now reportedly a topic of serious discussion behind closed doors. Some staff members are rumored to believe that the team would benefit from a new defensive anchor, someone more focused on organization and less inclined to roam forward. Interestingly, a few whispers have even linked Rangers with looking into transfer targets who could eventually replace Tavernier altogether, though nothing concrete has surfaced. Still, the fact that such talk exists at all reflects a profound shift in internal club thinking. From an untouchable mainstay to a potential liability, the narrative surrounding Tavernier is turning faster than anyone expected. It may just be speculation, but in football, rumors often precede reality. If change is indeed on the horizon, the implications could ripple far beyond Tavernier himself. His leadership has been a central pillar of Rangers' identity for years, and removing or sidelining him would inevitably alter the team's character on the pitch. Those close to the squad suggest that the captain's voice no longer carries the same authority it once did, and younger players reportedly view his defensive frailties as emblematic of a broader stagnation. One source hinted that the dressing Room atmosphere has grown more tense in recent weeks, particularly following crucial losses where Tavernier's positioning or decision-making came under fire. For a club with title ambitions and European aspirations, this internal discord is a troubling sign. The question being whispered around Alkenhawi isn't just whether Tavernier is past his prime, but whether holding on to him as a starter could hinder the development of a more balanced, defensively resilient squad. While officially the club maintains a united front, behind the scenes the murmurs of discontent are growing louder. It's a precarious moment, one that could either spark a necessary evolution or lead to further internal division if not handled with tact. For now, Tavernier continues to start, his armband still wrapped around his arm and his name still on the team sheet. Yet each match now feels like a referendum on his place in the side. Fans watch every defensive action with a new level of scrutiny, and every mistake seems amplified under the weight of criticism. Even some of the media, once firmly in his corner, are beginning to pose uncomfortable questions. While there remains a vocal section of the support who appreciate all he has done and still believe in his value, there's no denying that the winds are shifting. Perhaps it's the natural arc of a long-serving player's career, or perhaps the noise is the beginning of something more seismic. Either way, the situation around James Tavernier is no longer quiet background chatter. It's quickly becoming one of the most talked about sagas at Rangers in recent memory. Until clarity comes from the manager or the club's leadership, speculation will continue to swirl. And in a city as passionate and divided as Glasgow, those whispers can turn to roars in an instant. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.